their parents. And so only when we all came together that we did project. And so what I found out was that the adaptation rate of the new ideas was much higher, when we did it that way. And so sometimes you can say, how are social entrepreneurs born? I think we're born out of laziness. Because we get so tired of doing the same thing again with the same result, right? So constantly you try to find a new way to see if you can get a different result. And so in this case, we came up with quite a different. So a few pictures more. But now you see, so here is the family, which will not go to school. Why? Because they are going to collect firewood. Now the same family, because they have biogas, now don't have to do this. So they can go to school. So you see how it's a vicious cycle. So to solve one problem, you have to solve another problem. School network. So look at it. Here's a kid going to school in Kathmandu, and the water, there's a water tank. And so because the water is bad, you get stomach problems. Okay? And so you become sick. So in whose interest is it to get clean water? It's again your picture. So why would you do a coordinator? Because it helps the same people that are victims of that. So sometimes the traditional ways we teach environment is like, let's do an art competition. And so this is a typical Toyota sponsored art competition. And I say, come on, getting children together in a park to do an art competition isn't the best use of their skills or their knowledge. Let's make them do something more. So like you start by saying, let's get the children into nature. Do the children understand where the water comes from? Do they understand where it gets polluted? Do they understand that bad water and your family's medical expenses are connected? And then do you understand that a simple chlorine can fix that problem? So you do the whole chain. And so that's why the camps have to be done in a systematic way to make a curriculum in that way. But the idea is not to target the children, but the community. But they become the entry point. Yes?
I'd like to understand your team and the structure behind you. How do you identify a problem, identify what needs to be done, and how do you actually accomplish
So, this is another strange thing you hear. Not just from me, but most of the fellows, I think, is unfortunately, very few of us we carry visiting cards. Very few of us have a title. Very few of us actually sign checks. And I'll tell you why. I've talked with enough people to understand that one thing, that I am not, and I know many people who are not, is that we are not empire builders. So we are not empire builders in the sense that I don't believe that you can start with $30,000 and success will be indicated by the fact that you raised $30 million. It is the best indicator for failure if you went from low money to high money. If you say, I started with 12 staff and now I have 120 staff, I think that's a failure. Because you're growing on something very negative. Our long-term goal should be to become jobless. To say, I've solved that problem and I don't have any money left, so what I'm going to do the next day. So very often, it is how quickly can we transfer this idea so that people own it and then run with it. But the innovation that we do is that once light is going, okay, we work on the radio. Once radio is working, we work on the mobile charge. Once the mobile charge is working. So it's this constant, almost like a formless way to work. So structure-wise, we use what exists. And so in the case of Nepal, 32,000 schools, to service the country, and we have 93% enrollment in grade 1. There is dropout, but 93%. So even if nothing else exists, there is a school. And so for me, that's a good enough structure to work with. The college students, the youth, right? So they form a key part of that. And there again, the colleges, the employment committees, the business schools, all those become part of that network. Now there is a both development agency network as well, who are providing donor money, who are investing, who are lending, like the World Bank and others. So what we do is basically influence the way they invest. So for example, we're doing a huge tiger initiative globally, and only 14 countries in the world today have tigers. So from Siberia all the way to Nepal, so there's a belt of tigers. So the 14 countries want to double tiger population in 10 years' time. And so the way we do it is, we can explain all these things. Right? But in that meeting, the ministers are there, the World Bank is there, everybody is there. So it really influences the way they invest in those areas. So in one pocket of Nepal where we work, so the idea is to expand one of the national parks in Bardia National Park by another 900 square kilometers. There are tiger experts, there are national park managers, there is the World Bank, there is the government, there is the Ministry of Forest. So our job is to really put them all together and to facilitate that conversation. But there's no need, at least I perceive, to have a fancy office or staff. It's the way I work. Because MI building is not quite, our work. Yeah. So this is good. So many times, we do get awards, we do get projects. So projects you can build in your time into the project. So for example, when you go to the scale. So, but frankly, I will never have a full-time job because I really believe in what we call the Robin Hood philosophy. And so where if I do some work for the World Bank, for the Asian Development Bank, or for the Fed, I charge them for my time. And believe me, 5 years of World Bank time is enough to allow me to work freely for 25 years. So I call it a Robin Hood philosophy. But usually, we are so busy with our projects, and the projects do allow us to charge time. But if worse comes to worse, then the way I've done it is by lending our expertise to agencies to pay for it. But just remember, these are sometimes substantial projects, like this tiger project that we're doing for Nepal, Bhutan, India, and Bangladesh. So just 4 countries, that's $30 million. So I'm doing a community adaptation to climate change project, which is part of the Copenhagen deal, and that's $60 million just for Nepal. So these are pretty substantial. But on the way, I was explaining to John also, when I get back, I'm going to do a workshop for the World Bank because they want to invest $1.1 billion in the next 2 years as a peace dividend for Nepal. And so they've asked me to run the planning retreat. And so you have a huge influence on how that $1.1 million or $1.1 million will get directed. So we use a lot of that kind of influence. But nothing can take me away from this is what is fun. But if you don't help the World Bank to get direction, then that's a missed opportunity. So it does become a priority to work with them. Or like I said, you go to Parliament to change an act. So that's a policy instrument that you have to work with. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that when you go on the water, there must be very, very difficult things, and some of them can face some fearless are very technical. So up to what point you decide that the problem is under control and you decided to give it up and start a new project on this?
So yeah, this is exactly what I was trying to get at, is that change is something that society has an inertia for. Inertia is like the resistance, right? Because everybody gets comfortable with a certain way of life, and so change usually threatens somebody. But not just threatens, but there will be a section of society that is benefiting from the old ways of doing things. Right? So for example, the moment you say, okay, let's introduce solar lights into the village, the kerosene dealer feels threatened. Right? So who is going to be your #1 enemy in that project? It's going to be the kerosene dealer. Because they see this new technology as something that will make us redundant. Okay? So how do you think of a plan? The plan has to say that, look, kerosene is not the energy of the future. Right now you are a kerosene dealer. Because of strikes in Nepal, the kerosene truck is not very reliable. Because of strikes, they don't know. But also look at the oil prices in the world. Oil prices are going up. So it is going to become more expensive. So you have this conversation with the kerosene dealer and say, would you like to slowly start becoming a solar dealer? So you don't fight them. You have a conversation to bring them on side. Right? So in Kathmandu, I think you can the 3-wheelers. Give you another example. Just to show you a very difficult example. Yeah. So in Kathmandu, in the good old days,